Hello and welcome back to the Culer Corner podcast with your host Jose Gonzalez and
Ayham.
all right and honestly it was a performance that we saw from Barcelona in the Copa del Rey um against Guadalajara, a 2-0 victory suffered, I would say, um against a third division side. 2-0, someone might say that's not great for a team with Barcelona's caliber. Um, and especially the goals so late. It was an uncomfortable match. But for you who didn't watch the game, there was 11 defenders in the box when Barca were attacking. They were playing Haram ball, Pro Max, Ultra, extreme level, over a million. They made Getafe look like prime PSG Barcelona. They made they made Atletico Madrid look like they played prime tiki taka. That is the type of defending we saw from Guadalajara. Um, it was insane. Ayham, you saw a game as well. What did you think about that like insane Haram ball?
Honestly, like they had so many players in the box though for the whole entire game. Like we were struggling against Osasuna when they had all their players back on defense. The last weekend, and against Guadalajara, it was just 100 times worse. They were putting four men on Yamal and the rest of the men in the box, and we couldn't do absolutely anything. We couldn't get into the box or get any like dangerous chances against them. We got one chance from our own half by Eric Garcia, and that almost went in if it wasn't for their goalkeeper, who I think had a great game. But that was like our only way of really making any threat was by trying to take long shots. Garcia was taking many shots during that game, and like they had so many defenders in the box and just stopped us from doing anything until late on.
Yeah, and honestly, it was torture watching that game because you knew that Barca were playing well. It's just they were playing so defensive. It hurt to watch. It hurt to watch, especially being used to the fast paced things that we see like from Barcelona in the Champions League. It just hurt to watch. But then our saving grace and Andreas Christensen comes out of nowhere and scores a bullet header. Oh, that was amazing. Like it relieved me knowing that now they weren't gonna play Harambal anymore. And I would like to actually talk about Christensen. He has been so underrated this season. Every match that he's played in, I don't think he's had a single bad game in any of the matches that he's played in. He's just that class. And with Araujo being out, I don't know why Flick hasn't played him more, but I think this match showed that he deserved to play. Um, what do you think?
Yeah, Christensen is just I don't know why he doesn't play. He is such a solid center back. He never complains. He doesn't say anything about his game time. And whenever he does play, he is reliable. He doesn't make any mistakes. He gives us security at the back. And we saw that today. He came in clutch. He's actually I saw that he had the highest match rating for any Barcelona defender in SofaScore's whole entire database. Was this game from Christensen? He was a brick wall in the back, and I think he should begin starting games more because of how reliable he is in the games that he plays. He's just such a great center back.
Yeah, he's so class, and especially um when you see his like just ability to defend, and like I don't want to sound like I'm glazing, but he's just so good. Um, and he can create goals. And I think honestly, just replace all like Rafinha, Rashford, everybody. Just replace them with other defenders and just send high balls in so they score headers. Kunde with a brace in the Champions League, Christensen with a header. That is like impressive. I don't think any other club has such like an attacking team as Barcelona. And talking about attacking team, Rashford scores again. Um, and a couple of episodes ago, we talked about whether he's deserving of that permanent transfer. And I think in this match, even though it was against a lower tier side, you can just tell he's class. Like he scores again. Like you can't stop Rashford right now. He's always either a goal or an assist or either always creating pressure, but he is insane up front.
Yeah, I think he had a fairly decent game. I think he got a bit unlucky. He had two great chances that the keeper unfortunately saved, but I think his goal in the final minutes when he just rounded the keeper and slotted it in, I think it's what we need to see more of Rashford, just being fearless and just taking the chances, right, and finishing his chances as well. And I think that is gonna make him deserving of a permanent transfer if he keeps this going for the rest of the season.
Yeah, of course. And like we saw, especially since it's a like a lower tier side, we saw a lot of youngsters playing, and one of the youngsters I really liked it like watching was Rooney Bardaji. Again, he's just so class. Like he even though he didn't score or assist directly, you can just tell that like he had a big impact on the game. He did get subbed off in the 75th minute, but other players like Marc Bernal, Casado, Joffre Torrents, all those um they had an impact on the game. And like I liked what we saw because even though they're not starting caliber, they're not the best that we have. If one of our players gets injured, this showed us that Barca has depth. And that is one of the most important things going into this stretch of the season where the matches are get harder. There's less rest in between matches. So that depth is what we need.
Yeah, I think they just highlighted the fact that we have like so much depth in the midfield, especially. Like I think we have like 7 or 8 midfielders that we can play and rotate around and still not have any problems in the midfield either. So I think and in the attack as well, we have a couple players we can play as striker. We can play Lewo, we can play Ferran, we can play Rashford. We have a couple players we can play at the left, a couple players at the right, and we have a couple players we can play at the 10. So it just shows the amount of squad depth that we have. And speaking of the 10, a player that I was really surprised to see not feature in this game was Pedro. I really thought he was gonna, maybe start or at least come off the bench. I really wanted to see what he would be able to do and showcase against this a lower division side. But I think in the future he's gonna get more chances and he's gonna really show like what he's capable of.
Yeah, Dro. I was also very surprised that he wasn't playing. This like was a perfect match for him, but I guess he was just wasn't in Flick's plans. And another player that reportedly wasn't in Flick's plans but ended up playing was Marc Andre Ter Stegen. Now, a report a couple of hours before the match said Chesney was going to be their starting goalkeeper. Lineups came out, Ter Stegen in net, and a report came out later that after the match that Chesney had a meeting with Ter Stegen and Hansi Flick, and Chesney basically told Hansi that he's a captain. He's come off a long injury. He hasn't played in a while. I'll let him have it. And Chesney actually advised to let Ter Stegen have it, which I think is just a class play from a world class keeper.
Yeah, I agree with completely what you said there. I think it just shows like a lot of sportsmanship from Chesney's side to let Ter Stegen have the start in this game. And I didn't think Ter Stegen had a bad game at all. I remember that one chance from that Guadalajara player. He took a crazy touch. It like twisted his whole body around and like dropped the ball down. And then he went and then he rifled a shot from like 30, 25 yards. And Ter Stegen just flew and he saved the shot. And I think throughout this game he was pretty secure. He saved a couple chances, as well as he was pretty good in distributing the ball as well. And I think this could be good for either being a rotational player throughout the season in like games like these where we could rest other keepers or whether we have injuries. And I think if he's not in the plans at all and Barcelona decide to sell him in the future, I think it would be good for other teams to look and evaluate him in order to see if he could get playing time before the World Cup.
Yeah, now that you say that, about not being in the club's plans, that was my next topic. Reportedly, he still isn't in the club's plans, and this was just a one-off encounter. Um, because we have so much depth in that goalkeeper position. I feel like another opportunity like this will only come if we go up against a smaller opponent. But even then, I think this was his only chance to show it off. And you're right. He pulled off an amazing save. Joan Garcia-esque, the way he flew and just punched that ball out. Um, Knowing Ter Stegen was in goal, I thought that was going in, but I was pretty surprised by how he played. He played a very good game, and um, hopefully this match shows to other teams in Europe that um, like I'm not in his plans, Hansi Flick's plans, but if you guys want a class goalkeeper, I'm here. And another team in Europe could very much come in and buy him for a decent price that Barcelona would need. And going back to the news about Chesney not starting, supposedly there was a mole in the locker room leaking information about Barcelona to the press, to the media, and Hansi Flick has caught him. Now, there's no reports on who this player is. Some rumors going around that it might be Ter Stegen, but I kind of want to shoot down those rumors because if Hansi Flick realized it was Ter Stegen leaking the information, why would he play Ter Stegen? And I think this is going to be very good for the club. I don't know who it is, but whoever it is, they're running laps. They're not in Hansi Flick's plans anymore, and they should look for a transfer because Hansi Flick is a strict coach, and I don't think whoever this was, I think is in deep trouble.
Yeah, Hansi Flick is a very strict coach. You should not want to get on this guy's bad side. You see the way he treats players in the club that he has good relationship with, like Lamine Yamal, how they're always smiling and laughing. But that doesn't take it away from the fact that he's a very strict coach with Germany, with Bayern. This guy would always have very strict, rigorous training and speeches in the locker room, etc. And I think whoever the mole was, I think they're in for a tough time in the future. Whether it's they're out of the plans, they're gonna face a big punishment, or they might even get sold. So I think it's pretty bad idea, honestly, to leak information, even if it was just because like you don't get game time or whatever the reason may be.
Yeah, and now another piece of news that has come out of the locker room, maybe from the same mole, I don't know, but supposedly there has been contact between Lewandowski, our number 9, and MLS. So supposedly Chicago Fire um has called dibs um on Lewandowski if he ever decides to move to MLS. So basically that means that um they basically get first choice if he moves to the MLS, and if he decides not to go to Chicago Fire and let's say another team, DC United, Inter Miami, any other team, they have to pay Chicago Fire because they've called those dibs uh on Lewandowski. Now, there's other teams in the MLS interested. I think some of the LA teams are also interested in him, and I think that this development shows that um we need to find a new striker signing as soon as possible because maybe one more season, two more seasons at most, but I don't think Lewandowski's staying at Barcelona for much longer, and I think he's gonna join that MLS train that we've been seeing in the recent years.
Yeah, I think he maybe has one more season in him at most for me. But if he does extend for one more year or stay for one more year. I don't think it's going to be at a as a starting role. I think it's going to be as a rotation, as a bench player, which just further exemplifies how we need to find a striker. We need to find a number 9 in this upcoming summer transfer window if we really want to compete in the Champions League, because we're going to be without a proper lethal number 9 in the next season if we don't look at buying a new striker.
Yeah, and another transfer rumor, now that we're talking about transfers, is Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan. Supposedly is now Barcelona's biggest transfer target. Now he is a center back. He has 31 tackles, 73 duels won, and 51 recoveries this season in the Serie A. And I just want to say this center back situation and this defender situation is just getting annoying in my opinion. 2 weeks ago, I was hearing rumors about Nico Schlotterbeck coming to Barcelona. 1 week ago, it was Mark Guehi from Crystal Palace, and now it's Alessandro Astoni. And I think the club just need to make up their mind and go for one player, because if you genuinely want to buy someone for that January transfer window, you need to make up your mind, gather up the funds, create a good offer, and you can't spread your money around in different players. You need to focus on one so we can strengthen our team for that period during and after January that teams need to play good. And I think that's the most critical part of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said there. I think Barcelona needs to. They have several center back targets right now. I think they just need to focus on one. And for me personally, I think Bastoni or Slaughterbeck are the best ones that we can look at buying. And they're both really good center backs for their clubs, really good doing in the league. And I think they would really strengthen our center back spot, even though we have the greatest center back of all time, Christensen, at center back. But
I agree.
uh,
I agree.
I still think they should focus on one, put the money on that one center back, and just focus on signing him. But I think one problem that might arise is if we do look at signing Julian Alvarez in the summer, the money that we spent on him might not allow us enough money to maybe sign Bastoni or Slaughterbeck, and we might have to go for a more cost-effective solution or more budget-friendly center back.
Now, I have a question for you, Aham. Out of Schlotterbeck, Mark Guehi, and Bastoni, if we didn't buy Julian Alvarez over the summer, who would be your number one pick? Because for me, it would be Mark Guehi.
That's interesting. For me. It would be Bastoni. I think the size that he has and the height as well. We see like our center backs aren't particularly big or tall, so and we see this whenever we concede corners or we concede from set pieces. Last season against Inter, in the first leg, 2 of their 3 goals came from corners. 2 of their 3 goals came from aerial chances, and we didn't have anybody tall enough, big enough in order to block those chances. If we get Bastoni, it'll make us much better at defending set pieces and corners, and I think he would be the best, you know, typical center back with strength and fierce and power that we could sign.
Honestly, that's a good point. Uh, I personally like Guehi because he I like his style. I think fits Barcelona. If you've seen him play, but we do need height in that defense. So I'm willing to change my mind a little bit. Um, Now my next point that I want to bring up is our biggest rivals. Real Madrid faced a fourth division side, Talavera de la Reina. The final result, fourth division side, Real Madrid 3, Talavera 2. You can see 2 goals against the fourth division side. And guess how Madrid scored 2 of those 3 goals? Penalty and an own goal. That is shameful. Shameful on Madrid. And the worst part is that penalty wasn't a penalty. classic Madrid. We see this every time. The fans were chanting así gana el Madrid, which translates to that's how Madrid wins. And I agree, that is how Madrid wins. They win by luck and by terrible, terrible, terrible refereeing decisions. The penalty that was seen was a bounce off of his shoulder, and the ref called it a penalty. And of course, who else but Real Madrid?
Yeah, that was, I think, a very, very scandalous, I think, for Madrid. I mean, it's a fourth division side, and you're playing Jude Bellingham, you're playing Rodrigo, you're playing Kylian Mbappe, you're playing Arda Güler. You have pretty much a La Liga starting defense. You have Fran Garcia, Carreras, Dean Huijsen starting in your defense. There's no way that you would need a penalty that's not even a penalty. He heads the ball and it hits his arm. That is never a penalty. That's never ever a penalty, but they get it given anyway. An own goal and a keeper mistake. The ball literally just squirms under him and it goes in the net. There's no way you need those three goals in order to be a fourth division side away with all the stars that you were playing with. It's not possible. And I think this just shows us how Xabi Alonso is like the greatest Madrid manager of all time. And like
All time, all
he
time.
he's like a gift from God. The way this guy just does charity work for other teams, I think it just shows this guy is he's very generous, and he just loves giving back to the community.
Yeah, and as I said before, offer him a million-year contract. Fun fact: Barcelona's B team, not the youngsters, their actual B team plays in the same tier as a team that they barely scraped by, and it's just shameful for Madrid. And the worst part is, it's the same team that cries about Negreira every single week. We see Negreira this, Negreira that. You guys are the ones being gifted a penalty against a fourth division side. And even the president of La Liga, Javier Tebas, is saying how Vardrid are talking about Negreira out of nowhere. And he said, and I quote, Barcelona was their ally in the Super League for a long time. Now that they left, they're playing the heroes. Everything they're doing is just a theater and a distortion of reality. Now, for Satan himself to be saying that about his favorite team, it's insane. That just shows you the amount of class that Madrid has. And by class, I mean absolute trash.
Yeah, I think it's very ironic how once they start dipping in form and barely winning games, losing games, and drawing games, and Barcelona goes ahead of them and starts performing well and winning consistently, all of a sudden they want to talk about Negreira and talk about the referees as if during that same exact time period, Barcelona were being, what's the right word? Real Madrid were favored more by the referees in that same time period than Barcelona was. There were multiple instances where handballs weren't given, penalties weren't given. In the 2017 La Liga season, a Barcelona goal, I think, against, I believe, Real Betis, that was clearly over the line, was ruled out, and that goal cost Barcelona the league title, and Madrid won that league, and it just doesn't make sense how they complain about the referees, yet they're the ones that benefit from the referees. I think it's just petty. It's like they're acting like children when they don't get their way, even though they're still getting their way with the referees every single match day. It just doesn't make sense. I think they just they complain way too much and they don't actually play football, and they're just hurting their own reputation.
I think you said it perfectly. They're professional victims. Um, and like every team in Spain hates them. Um, but now talking about another team in Spain, let's talk about our next fixture in La Liga, a title fight facing third Villareal in the league. And we need to talk about how Hansi Flick is going to line this one up, because this is going to be a huge game for the title fight. Um, Villarreal is behind Barcelona by a little bit. Um, I think with 2 games in hand, they have 35 points, and Barcelona have 43. So if they win one more game, not including the one in Barcelona, because we're gonna talk about that later, they're gonna have 38 points, and Barcelona's still gonna have like 40. Well, depending on how this game goes, but I want to talk about my starting lineup, which I think Hansi Flick is going to line up with. Now, in goal, we have world class starting best keeper Joan Garcia. Can't beat him. He's too good. He's just so good. Uh he deserves that spot. Now, left back Alejandro Valde, well deserved rest in midweek. He's going to be coming fresh off that rest, and he's going to be electric. Now Gerard Martin, my fault. Gerard Maldini and Kubarsi are going to be dominating that center back position, and Jules Koundé on that right back. And in midfield, I would have Pedri and Eric Garcia, both getting rested early. They both got subbed off early against Guadalajara, and I think they're both going to be again top tier against Villareal, and we need top tier because it's our title rivals. We cannot slip up at this point of the season um before their winter break. We just cannot be slipping up games. Now, in my attack at left wing, I would have Marcus Rashford. He's so class. He's played so well against Guadalajara, against every team. I've talked about this earlier in this episode, and he's just so amazing. Now, uh, I would have Rafinha kind of being in the position that Hansi Flick has been playing him, more central. I don't know how to describe it, but um, I think he's just been thriving in that position, and it's Rafinha. Rafinha, our capitan, he's just so good, and you cannot have a winning team without Rafinha. And on our right wing, of course, Lamine Yamal, class player, didn't really show much against Guadalajara, but then again, it's because they had like 11 men in the box, and up front, El Tiburón, Ferran Torres. Um, so I think that lineup is what Hansi Flick is going to be putting up against Villarreal. What about you, Ayham? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we have pretty much the same lineup. I'm going with Juan Garcia in goal, the best center back in the league, at least, and one of the best in the world. Balde, left back, Gerard Maldini at left center back, Kubarsi and Koundé on the right. Pedri and De Jong as the two pivots with Rafinha at the 10, Rashford at the left, Lemina at the right, and El Tiburon Ferran Torres up top. I think because this is such an important game, we can't slip up. If we drop points in this game, if we lose this game, we could Villarreal could go above us with their 2 games that they have in hand. It's very important that we win this game and pull further away from Villarreal. And I think because of the magnitude of this game and how important it is for us in La Liga, I think Flick is going out with his most strong lineup, his strongest, most powerful lineup, and just to try his hardest to get this victory away at the Estadio La Ceramica. And they're one of the teams. They have one of the best forms in the league in Europe right now. They've won their past 5 games, and they have the most clean sheets in La Liga. So I think it's going to be a very tough game, but I think in the end Barcelona will pull through and will manage to win this game.
Now, I have a question to ask you. Who is your standout player, and what are your score predictions?
I think for me, stand out a couple of players. Pedri, of course, he's gonna have a great game. Uh, Not gonna lie, I do kind of have some visions in my head. I see him scoring a goal. I don't know why. I just see Pedri scoring a goal this game. I see Rashford cooking on that left wing, but I do really see Rafinha having a huge impact on this game. I feel like Rafinha is going to be our main player, our best player in this game. I feel like he might get himself a couple goals, maybe an assist, and I feel like he's going to be the reason that we win this game after what we've seen in the past couple games against Atletico Madrid, against Osasuna. I think Rafinha is going to be our most important player. I think we win this game with 3-1 scoreline.
Now, that's very interesting to me because for me, my standout player um, would be Marcus Rashford. Um, Again, just a great player. We've seen him week out be performing, and Marcus Rashford is just so class. I do kind of favor Rafinha, but at the same time, he's still kind of coming back from that injury, and um, I would just favor Rashford having a better game against Villarreal, especially with his explosive pace and just the way that he plays with that ball, those long shots. Villarreal's goalkeeper is not having the he's good, but he's not having the greatest season. And I think those danger shots from afar from Rashford would be creating a lot of damage to that Villarreal keeper in that defense. Now, with my score prediction, I would have a 2-1 victory for Barcelona. Now, um, the reason I say 2-1, in my opinion, I see visions of Rashford having one goal and one assist this game. So he's being directly involved in both of the goals in this match, and I just think it's about due time that that happens for him because he's just been so class this season, and that's why I see a 2-1 score prediction. Now the one goal is probably just going to be another high line mistake, if we're being completely honest. Uh, but 3 points is 3 points, and I will take that.
Yeah, I think that was very interesting with Rashford both scoring and assisting. But I do see where you come from with his past performances. I think he's due for more goals. He already has a ton of assists already this season. But it's just interesting to me with the other players that we could have as standout. But I see where you're coming from.
And I think that just about wraps it up for today's episode. Uh, please come back later this week or next week for our match reactions to this Villarreal game, our title rivals. This is a title fight game. And for our match predictions for Joan Garcia's homecoming match against Deportivo Español. Now, quick fact before I end the episode. Barcelona's next 7 fixtures are away from home. This stretch of the season, and that's why I put so much emphasis on that January transfer window. This stretch of the season is going to be tough for Barcelona. If we can keep this winning streak, I think it's all the motivation and the momentum that we need to keep pushing through and get gapping Real Madrid because we've seen them be so unstable this entire season. And if Barca can keep pulling through, I think that spells good news for us. So, thank you again for listening to the Culer Corner podcast. This has been Jose Gonzalez and Ayham Ali. And tune back next week for the new episodes.